Welcome back to the Bullets and Broadheads podcast. We got Cain and Craig giving the stories of their two giants they were able to kill this year and how they were able to meet up with them and, get it done this fall. So stick around and get their stories and things to come in the future on this show.
Back again for the second time. We had technical difficulties recording the first time. We're gonna go through the stories again. I had to twist their arms to tell their buck stories again. Cain and Craig's, we'll just call them 180s. We're finally getting it out. I know you guys at home have been just biting your fingernails, just itching to hear the stories. And it's been a few weeks.
Yeah,
so
it's been.
We're going to get it out. And it's out right now. If you're listening to it.
It's here.
So we're gonna hear their stories firsthand again. And deer stories never get old. Cain, you shut yours first. Let's hear that story.
Yeah, we'll start it off where we kind of ended the last episode on my story of the 12-pointer on the lease that I had actually shot. Told that story. I hit him low, tracked him. You got a drone out. Never was able to locate him. That deer actually did show back up it was probably only 3 or 4 days later. So just soon after, I think it was probably like the next night after the podcast, honestly.
Yeah.
Because we did podcast pretty quick afterwards. He showed back up and was all over the cameras. Hunted him pretty regularly. Never did run back into him. In grand scheme of things, I'm kind of glad I did because I ended up running into one that I never dreamed I'd run into. So yeah, I was hunting that same 12-pointer that I shot pretty hard. Then I think it was like November 9th or 10th, I got a phone call from a buddy, and a deer that I had on camera on a piece of public was out in the field chasing a doe. So we kind of put a plan together to go put some more cameras up and stuff, and went about that. Didn't have any luck getting him on camera, but then checked a regular camera, had him on camera. This deer that I ended up shooting had him on camera, and I think it was, I don't know, a week or so went by without any more pictures. Then checked the camera again, had 3 or 4 pictures of him, and put a cell cam up. Ended up getting a picture of him the 18th at 12:30 in the morning, and this piece of public's right down the road from my house. So as soon as I woke up to that picture, I was pretty jacked up. Texted my buddy, said, "Hey, I think it's my turn," because he had went in there hunting a couple times after he'd seen him in the field. It was Tristan Wagler, and woke up that morning and seen those pictures, got pretty excited, and that evening went in with not real high hopes. Like I said, it's right by my house, and it's a big deer, but it's a pretty heavily hunted piece of public, and never in a million years did I think I was going to catch up with this joker, but got in there that evening, and it was, what was
The
it?
hot,
That was the hot 19th. It was 70 degrees. I was in there in my Hey Dudes and work shirt. Didn't do much for any type of scent control or anything, but got in there. Whole entire time I was in the stand, I was talking to my brother and talking to Weston. I was trying to round up cameras because I was like, man, I got to find this joker. There's no way he's in this little patch of woods.
What's the terrain look like back there?
Yeah, so basically where I had been seeing this guy, it all started in September. I seen him a couple times on my way to work and went in, put a camera up. It was a cell cam that did not work. So I just left it in there. Kind of forgot about the deer because it was a piece of public that gets heavily hunted.
That's how I feel.
You were seeing trucks there.
Yeah, I was seeing trucks there every night.
I said I forgot about it. I that's what most of my 180s, I just see him, I forget about him.
Well, I knew it was a big deal, but at this point, I didn't know how big. We got so anyway, I put this camera up right at the end of September. It may have been October 1st or so, and it was a cell cam, but it did not work. So, I quit seeing him on my way to work. I was hunting other deer. We were trying to shoot does. Wasn't getting anything on camera, but I quit seeing deer on my way to work. So it just kind of, I don't know, spaced it, I guess.
I wasn't on the road.
So anyway, October 14th, I do know the day I went back in there and checked the camera. I checked the camera, and see, this is where it got real. I checked the camera, and he was on there 2 or 3 times during that 2-week span that the camera was up. And I sent the picture to my brother and Weston and a couple of people. And we were like, shit, this guy's a little bit bigger than what I knew it was a good deer, but when I seen it, I was like, that's 170 or better. And so that sparked that. And then me and Weston went in there and hunted I think once or twice. Me and Weston definitely went once. And I think I went back another time, just trying to shoot a doe. And then if we seen him, and maybe we'd get a shot. But no luck. Seen a couple deer, didn't get any shots off. But after that, I put a cell cam in there for a week and did not get anything of him or any other deer of any shooters. So then again, took that cell cam down because I was chasing. That's when I switched gears to the 12 pointer on the lease and started chasing him a little harder and ended up getting a shot off of him, hitting low. Whole story from last episode. But I had that regular camera in there on this piece of public, and it kind of went unnoticed again for a while until that phone call from my buddy on the 10th. And then that's when it kind of restarted. Put cameras up and everything and got him a few more times. But then on the 19th is when I got the picture in the morning at 12:30. And we went in. I texted Tristan that morning. He said, I think it's my turn. We started talking about stuff. I said, I'm going to kill him tonight. I don't know why we're worried about putting cameras up. That was just me joking around. Then, yeah, long story short, got in there that evening, 4 o'clock, 4:15, and at 5:10, I grunted. And this little bitty patch of woods, I mean, it's right off the side of the road. And it definitely just gets overlooked because the people that were back there hunting were definitely deeper. I could see vehicles back there pretty well every evening. It's right by my house here. I got in there that evening, and 5:10, I grunted. And at 5:20, I looked up, and my gosh, there he was. And I said, I can remember saying, my God, is that him? And he got down there a little farther, and he was in there about 100 yards at that point, and I was like, good Lord, that is him. And then
It'd be hard to mistake that.
yeah, well, it was through the timber, but then he had come up on top of the ridge, looking around, trying to sniff and stuff. Getting my wind, I kind of thought he was getting pretty well straight downwind, and he was 75, 80 yards. And I was standing up free-handed with a shotgun, and I don't know how I hit him on that first shot, but I mean, I felt like I was as good as I was going to get when I squeezed the trigger, but I mean, that scope was just swaying over top of that. And one time it crossed over Brown again, and I squeezed it off. He mule kicked out there, and he went about 5 yards and stopped, and all I could see was the back half of him right behind that back rib, and I shot him again, and I guess that dropped him in his tracks because anyway, I got down then, and he popped up on the ridge, and there he laid. And I mean, I was in disbelief with what had just occurred because my biggest deer by a landslide. But yeah, it was a pretty crazy scenario. Just like I said, the last deer I thought I'd catch up to all year. Wasn't paying all that much attention to, but in the long run, I ended up having several pictures of him on those cameras. I only had 2 different locations in there that are in cameras. Every picture I got of him, he was going the same exact direction and doing the same thing. So when I looked back on it all, I should have known more than what I did. I just didn't piece it all together until afterwards. But it all worked out. And I mean, we've taped him out a couple different times, and he's a dandy. So yeah,
So you called Lane right after your first one. What he was there, and
yeah. So I called Lane, and right after I shot him, and I said, I don't know where I could hit him. I fired a shot. We need to get up there ASAP to see where this deer's at, what this deer's doing. And he lives I live a minute from where I'm hunting here, and he lives probably, I don't know, 7, 8 minutes. And by the time I got to the deer, I heard something running, and that sucker was he was already there. I mean, he must have had that Ranger 120 miles an hour.
he was ramping the corny moves for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, it was a good night. It's the biggest deer me or him's ever shot. We've shot several deer over the years, but just a great deer all around and pretty typical.
He's sitting right here.
15 horrible points.
A roll of tines. I mean, it's like a pitchfork
He's a
with
typical 12, right? Split 3 and a split brow, basically.
Yep, and then 1 dagger off the base here. So yeah, we taped him out a couple times, like I said, and I think me and Craig taped him out last week. Got 182 and
183, basically.
5/8 or 7/8 and stuff, and we scored. Lane scored him at 183, I think, and then we've had a couple guys score him at 187, 188. So we're gonna stick with the low 180s now.
180s for sure. That's the way.
We'll get him officially scored here in a couple of weeks. Hopefully he stays gross boon, but we'll see. I'm not gonna be too upset if he don't. He's a giant. Either way you look at it. So. But yeah, just a great deer all around, and to kill it on public means that much more to me. And like I said, I feel like I kind of lucked into it, but really I had quite a bit of information on him, but I didn't realize how much information I had on him until I looked back after the fact. So
Yeah.
pretty crazy stuff.
We'll talk more about the cameras and public stuff after we get done with Craig's and kind of talk about those issues.
Yeah.
Not issues, but just how much, the advantages, disadvantages, and stuff of that.
Yeah.
So we'll hear Craig's. It's they're kind of two different, like, deer that score about, pretty close. You got one that's just a row of tines and just long. Then you got this one that's like the size of my forearm all the way through. It's
Carries the mass for sure.
I mean, it's fat all the way through. This is kind of different stories all in general. This public deer, you'd never seen it until this year. And
Yeah.
Craig's hunting a deer on a private farm that you had for the last couple of years or whatever.
Yeah.
Passed him last year, and the story goes to show you pass good deer that a lot of people would shoot no matter what, like regardless.
He was 40s last year.
I was putting him at 140 last year.
So
just very obviously a young deer.
Yeah.
Last year. I still think he's not an old deer this year, but I wasn't passing him.
No, I mean, go through what a year does.
Yeah.
I heard this today on the TV. He said, I call it DDDG. He says, dead deer don't grow. So that's pretty good. So it's kind of long-winded.
I mean, I would say from last year to this year, he's put on for sure 30 inches, no doubt.
At least.
Yeah.
He had a bunch of jump, too. you can
Possibly
see.
40. I mean, yeah, it's added a bunch of, but yeah.
So let's hear it from the start. I mean, early this fall. I mean,
Well, yeah, we can start back last year. We started getting pictures of him and knew it was a buck that was young, and we wanted to pass. Thought I might have had pictures of him the year before. It was just a mainframe 8, and then he came back last year as a mainframe 10 with a split G2, and I could tell his brows were wanting to split. And yeah, a couple guys hunt the farm, and we kind of all agreed that, we're not going to hunt him, not going to pressure him, try to keep him there all year. It worked. Ended up I hunted there one time just to see him back there where I thought he lived, and passed him with a bow. And so yeah, I was excited this year when I started getting velvet pictures of him, and he was just blowing up bigger and bigger and bigger. But yeah, I didn't hunt him a whole lot early because I wasn't getting a bunch of consistent pictures of him. Every week or so, every 2 weeks, I was getting pictures of him. So didn't hunt him a lot early. And then the first week in November 1st, I got a daylight picture of him in the morning. And
that was a Friday morning.
Friday morning. You couldn't hunt Friday morning. So I went up there as soon as I could Friday. Got up there it was lunchtime, well after lunchtime Friday, and he came out, walked past me at 40 yards, and just never felt confident with the shot. Never had a great shot at him. Yeah, I was a little bit bummed about that. So, man, that might have been my one opportunity for the year. Anyways, my dad came, and we hunted almost all day, every day for the first week in November for this deer. And he ended up on November 3rd, he left. Didn't get any more pictures of him.
So no sightings of him that whole week, and you guys were sitting pretty well all day sits and
Yeah,
stuff.
there was a few all day.
Yeah.
Yeah, we sat a lot. I think I passed every buck on the farm that week and never seen him. And Dad never seen him, never nothing. Anyways, November 3rd was the last picture sighting of him, and he was gone. I was, first week of gun season rolled around. I kind of quit hunting him because I was like, I didn't know where he was at, what had happened.
Oh, you knew what had happened. You had convinced him he was dead.
In my mind, he was dead. The farms around us get hunted pretty heavily, especially gun season, and they shoot a lot of our bucks. It's just how it happens every year. So I was convinced he was dead. I actually was hunting the other side of the farm from where I thought he lived on opening day of gun season. And every shot that went off, I was texting my dad saying, "There goes Splitter." He's dead. Anyways, Dad thought I had a pretty bad attitude about it the whole time, and I probably did. Anyways, November 19th, the night you shot yours.
Yeah.
He shows back up on a scrape. It's the same scrape I'd been getting him all last year, and then, the first part of this year. And I text Dad immediately. I said, "Dad, we got to get this deer killed. Like, he's back." Which, looking back at camera pictures from last year, I realized he did the same thing last year. He left for about 2 or 3 weeks in the middle of the rut right there. And I don't know where he goes, I still to this day, I have no idea. He could have been right there the whole time.
No, you don't have a chance to do it again.
I don't know. Anyways, so the 22nd, so 3 days later, was my first opportunity to hunt. Didn't have any pictures of him from the 19th to the 22nd. And there's a backside of our farm where you can't get to it to hunt with our property because you got to walk right through the bedding area and just you can't get back there to hunt. Well, I got permission from the neighbor to walk a river up and around and got up there, hunted that morning of the 22nd and seen some decent bucks. Didn't see him. Went out for a little bit, talked to another landowner to try to get some more permission to get in there. Anyways, ended up getting that permission, getting back in the stand at like 1:30, and at like had deer under me all evening. And at 4:30, something like that.
Yeah.
Which that morning,
It was like
a little
4:30.
backstory. That morning, I text Cain and Logan both, and I said, can you imagine if we shoot 2 180s?
Yeah.
I said it's going to happen tonight. Anyways,
Everything about the day, like it was cold, like a cold front kind of came
It was
through.
nasty.
Miserable day to be sitting.
Oh,
It was not the 70-degree
no.
day I had sitting out there in the cup.
I was froze. Sitting on a little block on the edge of the side of the tree there. I was wind right in my face. Man, it was cold. Anyways, 4:30, I look up and a doe is just running down the ridge. I mean, just running like 60, 70 yards. And I look up and I see just his big size.
My God, there he
Then
is.
I was like, my God.
Is that him?
That's it. I don't know why, but I picked up my binos to look, and I don't know why I did that because I knew it was him.
Yeah. You had to get that big.
Anyways, he's just running. Like, I mean, they're just all out chase. And I just I was standing up. I grabbed my gun and sit down and rest on my knees, and I just yelled. I was like, hey. And I tried to bleed at him twice, and he didn't stop, and I just yelled. Anyways, he slams on the brakes, and I'm looking through my scope. And like I said, it's raining. There's like raindrops on my scope, and it's half fogged up. And I had like a little bitty gap to shoot through, but he's right behind some trees. As he starts taking a step, I squeeze it off, and he takes off running, and I have no idea if I hit him. I have no idea. I called Dad immediately. I said, Dad, I just shot at Splitter. I said, I don't know. He said, well, first off, he said, get out of the tree. He said, you're about to fall out. Shaking so bad. But yeah, I walked down there, and there's blood everywhere, and he ended up running 80 yards. And
Deader than a hammer. Right.
you know,
It's funny. You shoot and you never think I hit it. That's the first
I
thing.
didn't
It's an
think-
instant.
yeah.
doubt.
I did not think I hit him.
It's like in reality, if you look back and think like it'd be real hard to miss him because like
Oh,
you were on him,
yeah.
but
knew-
and you just think
I knew
he's
when I
the worst.
when I
He's-
look like, you look back in your mind at, where your crosshairs are and I was like, I knew I was on him, but I was like, it's such a little gap. There's twigs in there. Like, who knows? Anyways, ended up, if I could have pointed where I wanted to hit him, it's.
Yeah, you 10
I-
ringed him. Yeah, it was a heck of a shot for sure.
But-
so.
Yeah. So yeah, it was. Then the phone calls started happening.
Yeah,
Those are the best phone calls.
Oh, yeah.
God,
I mean,
on that Friday, I was on the way down. I went through that area where there was a cordon sign out to the airport. And I sent a picture. I said, I'm in Splitter territory. And it just seemed like that. Just the feeling of like, for whatever reason, that things were adding up. Like, it was going to be the night.
It was.
Well, and it was. I think it was. We can talk about the time period that both these deer died in, because it was what, a 3-4 day
Yep.
period right there.
19th and
And,
22nd.
and so, like, you look at that time frame. I think it's kind of like the back end of that rut where the bucks are kind of freeing back up, and I think it goes back to where like he had went missing for how long?
Yeah,
2-3 weeks.
Yeah.
I hadn't had pictures of this deer. We had a sighting on the 10th, but I hadn't seen him on camera for 2-3 weeks
Yeah.
basically. And I think that's just how
They get locked.
locked down.
I don't know. He come like where he came running from was from the neighbors, kind of. But no, I found out later nobody hunts that block of timber, so I don't know if he
Mhm.
just was holed up in there.
Yeah.
And then finding out later, I talked to all the landowners around us, and nobody knew about this. Not one, not even from last year. Nobody had.
I think that's a testament on, like, when they do go missing, they may not be far. They're
I
just-
think he lived in 20 acres
Yeah.
piece
Right.
for most of that time period.
Mm-hmm.
That's what if they could get, like we talked last time, it could get locked up for a week straight and just have a doe after another and
Yeah,
they're
in a
leave
doe,
their little
a
spot.
doe group of 4 or 5 does. I mean,
Well, that's the
he's
thing.
with one for a day or two, then on.
That same ridge where he killed him, where I thought he was living, it's nothing to see 30 does at a time.
Right. So I mean,
He does not have to go.
He had to leave right there. And I know during that time frame, just a couple of days before I killed mine, I had talked to a guy from up north here, and I told you guys this, but he got in his tree one morning during that week on a piece of public, and right at daylight had a 140, 50-inch deer, good deer, inside 150 yards with a doe. And throughout that entire day, he never got out of the tree, and that buck and doe never left that 150-yard circle. And that buck fought off 3, 4 smaller bucks during that time period, but they never left that spot. They were there the whole day.
And what's another crazy?
How long did that go on for?
Another crazy thing is, so when I went back there to hunt Splitter that night, like I said, I've never hunted that side of our property. It's kind of a place that we just stay out of, so-called sanctuary.
Right.
I took a camera back there with me that night to put it back there because I've never run a camera back there. And well, obviously I shot him then that night, but I still had the camera with me, so I just put it on the tree that I was hunting in. I've got pictures of bucks that I've never seen before.
Back in there.
Since I've killed him.
And I think like the does get tired of running from the small bucks. So they go into thickets and they go into hiding, and then the big bucks will seek out those spots, and they don't really blow them up like you see these younger bucks do, and they're just kind of hanging with them, hanging around each other, ready to be bred. And I think we've seen that. My brother had some really crazy videos this year of bucks tending does where got them coming out of a thicket into a food source where he was just right up her butt, and he thought maybe they may get out there and there may be a chase or something like that. 4.5 hours later, he gets the same buck and doe coming back, and I mean that it's like the same video, like it's just nose to tail, just right there, just barely moving. He's just barely nudging her. They're just not moving very fast. So I just during that lockdown stage, I think it's
tough.
And then we killed these. Yours was with a doe. Mine was all by itself. But right at the tail end of that, where they can be breaking off, it's a very deadly time of the year to kill them. And I think it's a very callable time to kill them because they're back on their feet. They're cruising.
It's almost like another November 1 through 5.
Absolutely. And I almost think it's almost deadlier because there's not as many does coming into estrus. So they're actually looking a little bit harder. I think they're expanding those territories back out, and it's a really good time of year. And it falls right in gun season.
Yeah,
so it's like bad around here. I feel like that's why everybody's able to kill so many big deer around here. In Indiana anyway, because that time frame blaze. I say it's terrible for it because I just like to see more deer survive, but it's good for us hunters that it does fall.
Neither of these bucks were going to get shot with a bow.
No, I killed mine at 80-some yards, 70, 80 yards.
That adds a whole other. It's a pretty big deer with a bow.
Well, yeah, I mean, I shot the 12-pointer that, that was at 47, 8 yards.
It's hard enough to see him.
Yeah, right.
Way harder to get him within bow range and make a shot, especially, with a compound of that.
I'm pure panic. I get one inside 80 yards. Boy, oh boy.
But going back to lockdown, that's why it's like, if you're not seeing deer, that's what juries and everybody say, you got to move to the movement. If you're not seeing, you're not going to see it more than likely. You got to find where they're at and hunt it. Yeah.
Or, if you can still hunt those transition areas instead of waiting for them to break loose.
But it's not just the bucks that you don't see. You start not seeing does because they are in the thicket and they're so tired of getting.
Oh, it's harder during that. It's harder to see a mature doe. 100%. I can see spikes and 4-pointers all day long. I'm just praying that I see a doe at that point.
All of a sudden, you're starting to see fawns everywhere because the fawns get kicked off.
Yeah, I sit in the tree and pray for a doe to walk by. Yeah. I can count on one hand how many does I see. I feel like from November 1st to November 20th. I just did. It just gets tough all around. It seems like. So, yeah, it's crazy time of year.
Yeah, it's a fun time.
But definitely good. We definitely had a good year. My brother killed. I don't know if that would have been on the last episode or not. I can't remember if that was November or not, but he killed one up on base that was right at probably 150 some inches. So yeah, he killed one. And I can't think of anybody else. Logan, you killed a couple.
Yeah.
Had some luck on the crane gun.
I said I was shooting the first racked buck I seen, and I mean, it was nasty weather, but it was a nice little 10. Had kickers on the G2s on both sides, one on the G3.
Definitely.
Would have been
Well, they all would have been.
Oh,
Like, look at this guy. If you would have let him go one more year, that guy one more year.
well, there's just some that got the genetics. And this one had it,
Yeah.
for sure. This one would have been fun to see on a farm somewhere, or, a couple years would have been mega. But going back to like trail cams and stuff, we talked about this on the recording that was trash, how big a difference it makes being able to monitor deer instead of just watching them. Like, it's kind of twofold. You think more deer get killed, bigger deer, with the use of cameras? Or do you think if there wasn't cameras, people would just be out hunting more and not know what's there? How do you think? I mean, I feel like it could go either way.
It definitely helps the management side of things. I think, like you get these trail cameras. Cell cameras help you kill them 100%. But like, trail cameras in general, I mean, it helps people target certain deer. I mean, like if you've got a big deer on your property, you're probably not going to shoot that first 125, 30-inch deer that comes by. So I think it saves a lot like that.
I passed quite a few.
How many deer waiting for that one? Yeah, right.
130s deer.
And like over the last couple of years, I really felt like I started to more enjoy the planting the food plots and running the cameras and trying to dial it back onto one deer or something like that. And that's what this year with the 12-pointer that I shot and hit low and he's still alive, but we didn't find him. We had a lot of time put into that deer, and the trail cameras played a huge role in that. Like didn't hunt that lease until he showed up. For the most part, didn't hunt it at all. He shows up, had to move some cameras around, ended up finding a scrape that he was on pretty regularly, and then was able to go in there and hunt him and got a shot off. That was the first time I had went and sat on the big timber part of the property and had to talk to a neighbor coming in a back door that we can't get to without coming in a different way because you have to go through all
access on these deer.
Yeah.
Everything.
So it's and that's the cool thing about those cell cameras. You can get them cameras into those places and then let them soak for a while, and then you can find out, hey, I got to find a way to get into that spot. So yeah, I mean, cell cameras play a huge factor. I mean, it killed this deer for sure because just by the story I told, I wasn't not that I wasn't interested in it, but it was in a high pressured area, and I was not I didn't want to go burn up my hours in November hunting a deer that's dead or ran to the next count. So I had to hit it. It was the third set in.
If you think about hunting this deer, you're for sure hunting a pressured deer. It seems like.
Yeah,
and there's almost 100% chance that he's been run out of there.
Yeah,
at least once. And if you think about hunting a deer, that's not a deer you want to hunt. Or it's a it's just a hard deer.
When you're in November, you've only got that those 3 weeks that you look forward to all year, and you don't want to waste it on a deer that's not there. And looking back, I should have went with my gut feeling. I don't think this deer left that little 5-acre block that I thought he was in. I told everybody, oh, he's living in this bowl. He's living in this bowl. Well, in the back of my head, I thought that, but I couldn't get I couldn't get myself to actually truly believe it. I never went in there. My buddy did hunt it a time or two, but I mean, it's hard to kill a mature deer. So he just wasn't there. He didn't happen to run into him when he went in there. And then by golly, when I went in, which I got in that picture, cell camera picture, is what killed him. So, I mean, went in there one time on that backside. And the only reason I went on that backside, I had never been in there before, but had a different wind and knew I couldn't go around the side that I had the trail camera pictures on. So I went around the backside. It's only a 4 or 5 acre block, and he was in there still. So, yeah. Camera got him.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the cameras, got him. The last time I seen the big one that I was after, where we could have had the trifecta, but the Friday before gun season, I thought maybe this is my last chance for the one I was going after targeting. And talking about targeting a certain deer, it's just freaking hard. It about makes you go crazy trying to figure out when to go, how to go, where to sit, blah, blah, blah. But like, I was sitting there, nothing moving, no deer. Kind of like you're not seeing any deer, didn't see a doe. It's 10 o'clock, and I've been standing all morning looking behind me. I decided I'm going to take a break for a minute, turn around, sit down. All of a sudden, I just hear like a running behind me. And I turned around, and I thought, I guarantee, I know, I was like, oh my, in my head, in like a split second, you just think, holy shit, that's him. Like,
Yeah.
he was 10 yards behind me. Like, I'm in a tree I'm like 8 foot off the ground because there's no other tree I can get up to be able to like shoot to where this, the spot is.
He would be hard to not recognize.
Yeah.
He's got a little bit more going on. A little more recognizable.
He's got 3 main beams on one side, and yeah, it'd be hard
Looks
telling.
like care.
Hard telling what this guy would add up to be with just all the extra crap he's got. It's like it's about impossible to look at and give.
But anyway, you see him that
So I seen him. This is where it goes back to the cameras. I hadn't seen him on camera for a while, but I kind of know like where he's been. That nasty thick crap you can't hunt unless he comes out of it. I seen him that morning at 10. Well, when he ran by, I never got him stopped. Like less than a minute later, coyote comes running behind him down the same trail. I thought, well, I assume he could have been bedded less than 100 yards from me, and just coyote bumped him out.
And he probably was. Because that's where he's
better there all the time.
Every time
And where the wind was blowing, like he probably watched me that morning try to climb another tree. And I tried to get in to see it better, and I turned around and came back,
Oh,
20
using
yards
the hanging hunt setup.
Yeah.
Oh,
Same place I've seen
we're
him.
going to have trial runs this summer. We're going to get more efficient in the hanging hunt.
Well,
setup.
there's no other.
Trees are.
Oh my gosh. I don't know. I might put a fake tree. I might just go stick a telephone pole.
Plant a telephone pole there.
Anyway, seen him that night, ran through, and I thought, like, man, he's big. Like, big body, everything. That night, no, the next morning, text me, I wake up, I look at it, whatever, and he says, Cain send you any pictures yet? And I thought, no, I didn't. But then, like, right after that, Cain sent a bunch of pictures. He was a mile and a half, 2 miles to the south.
1.69, I think is what we came up with.
He was that far south from 10 a.m. till, that night, 8 o'clock, 3.
Yeah, it's 3 in the morning.
There
No, it's 2 different times.
There's 2 times, yeah. Well,
He ran past you and just never quit.
he never quit.
He just never stopped.
I think it's just a testament on how far they'll go and why you lose deer. So we're saying, we're saying how they're locked down here. And they're locked down in these holes with these does, but then we got that deer running. It's 1.6 miles in less than 6 hours.
It's like that coyote was running, but there's no way he ran that far. Just because of that.
I don't know. It blows my mind that deer actually did that with being, what was that, November 10th?
Mm-hmm.
No, it's
so
whatever it was gun season, the 14th or 15th.
Maybe even 16th.
6th.
So it was the 15th because it was the Friday.
Yeah, so November 15th. But
yes, it was.
Maybe it was. I don't think
so. It was the Friday before
gun
season.
Friday before, or Thursday before gun season.
Really?
One of those. Yeah, one of those 2.
So there's a hot doe every.
Yeah.
You would think you could run into one, especially
that deer would run another buck off of a hot doe.
It's crazy. The Tristan Wagler deer. Did you hear that story? They got a deer right here, and Tristan Wagler he's been looking for a big one to chase. It's over by your house, but gets a good deer. Looks like 160-inch, just heavy 10. Gets him coming down a trail, getting ready to jump a fence, and hunts him all week. Well, come to find out, just dumb luck. He's showing trail camera pictures to our other buddy down the road here, and they're chasing the same deer. They're 3 miles apart, and Tristan has this deer on like a Tuesday. Well, he's back home just a couple days later. He's back home here 2-3 miles away, and ends up getting killed. He got killed this weekend.
Who did?
John Kavanaugh's little boy shot him on Kavanaugh Farm.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, the deer was roaming, and that's what's crazy.
It doesn't make sense.
But see, he did it during the later stage where he would have
There
been.
could have been no does in that.
Yeah.
I mean,
Dad, or
what
he
that is.
got his nose stuffed up.
That's a no.
running on pure visual, just didn't see anything. I guess I don't know, but yeah, it is great. You just don't know what the suckers are going to do. You can get a picture, And we hunt a property down here. It's actually the same property that we got your deer on, Logan, but we hunt it with one of my old teachers from school, and one of our cameras was only like 60 yards apart. But like one evening, we get a picture of this deer going to the field, and you think, okay, we got him, got him a little bit of a pattern. Well, like the next morning is when all this came to surface, but a minute after our picture, he was 60 yards behind the camera going the other way. Well, he had just walked by our camera. It looked like he was going out in this field to feed. Well, so like, it's just so like trail cameras can be very deceiving in that sense where you're just seeing a split second of them.
It's kind of discouraging too because you think your deer's gone, but
Yeah.
190-inch deer can come by that you never seen before coming from 3 miles away.
When I took mine to the taxidermist the other day, they said that there was a 210-inch deer in there, just giant. And guy said he'd never seen him, didn't know anything.
What a surprise!
Can you imagine be sitting in? Well, I mean, trail cameras can be. That's the thing is you like to hunt off your cameras. My goodness, you're hunting.
November, just get in the woods.
Yeah, you're hunting a 10 by 10 area if you're waiting for it to show up on camera.
That's the other part I'm thinking about. Like, if you didn't have cameras, maybe you'd be out there hunting. Like, who knows? But deer can show up anytime.
There's some crazy things.
Well, we'll probably shut this one down, and our next one will be Jeremy Yoder.
We got some cool guys coming on here.
In the sky, talk about some drone recoveries. I'm curious. I got some questions for him on different things, so that'll be fun to talk about.
Rules and regulations on the drones. I'd like to hear it all
from it. Yeah, so
pretty cool stuff though. He's the guy that actually helped try and recover my deer. We were unable to find it. Well, come to find out the deer was perfectly alive. He was not anywhere on the property. I'd say he ran, but that'll be a really cool guy to come on. We got some other guys, a taxidermy guy down in Boonville, Ryan Helfert.
Whenever this deer season kind of slows down, which it is now, there'll be a lot more people.
Hopefully we can catch up with some people, yeah.
Yeah, so, well, I guess congrats again. We got two giants sitting here on the table looking at it, just mind blowing. I wish you guys could all see it if you would listen. Yeah, so stay tuned for the next one. We'll catch you later.